What sets the Purina goat mineral and the Purina wind and rain sheep mineral apart from other minerals that are on the market is because they are designed by folks that are in the business. We work very hard at the Purina Animal Nutrition Center in Gray Summit, Missouri to maximize efficiency, to increase the number of lambs that we have on the ground, and I know the goat herds that we work with are on the same role as us. The best way for producers to ensure that they don't have a mineral deficiency is to supply a quality mineral. That's where we have worked so diligently on the Purina goat mineral and also the wind and rain sheep mineral to provide myself and other producers an opportunity to decrease problems. From the reproductive standpoint, vitamins and minerals play a huge role in sheep and goat. That's where we have found the biggest contribution to our operation in terms of AI and embryo and then conception on first-time service. So there's a distinct role that the minerals play in repro for us. That's what makes us unique and different, is because we're creating products that work for us.
Contact John Starnes, your Pride Ag Resources LPS and Purina Animal Nutrition Specialist at cell phone 620-518-2370 or at jstarnes@landolakes.com. You can also contact Shelley Hamilton, who's a feed sales specialist with Pride Ag Resources, at our cell 620-393-5872, and that's at shamilton@prideag.com. Contact them for your goat and sheep feed needs.
Stay Tough Superior Fencing Products presents its fence test video. During this video, you'll witness the strength and resilience of a Stay Tough fixed knot fence compared to a standard hinge joint fence, as both are hit by a full-size truck. Stay Tough fence is made of high tensile wire that's 3 times stronger than low tensile wire and will stretch less than 1%. Low tensile wire will stretch more than 10%. Both fences were installed under identical circumstances and using the same tooling and fence design. Let's see the results. Stay Tough Fence comes with a 10-year written limited warranty. Contact us at 1-888-223-8322 or visit our website to find a dealer near you. Stay Tough Superior Fencing Products. Stay strong, stay tight, stay tough.
Getting up on a morning like this and seeing the sun come up is just beautiful. I was herding sheep when I was 12 years old. I had a pack horse and a teepee tent and a stove, and I followed the sheep, and I loved it. In fact, if I had my druthers, I would be out here herding the sheep every day. I don't think there's any better life. We want to be in business for the next generation. We're feeding the world, we're clothing the world, and to us, that's a pretty noble profession.
200.
Makes me feel good that our kids want to raise their kids like they were raised. Makes me and my wife feel like that we must have done something right. My name is Stephen Osgathorpe, and I'm just an old sheep herder.
Making Kansas a better place to live and work has been our goal for over 100 years. It's a responsibility we don't take lightly.
Solids or sediment?
365 meters.
365 meters.
K-State Research and Extension serves our rural and urban neighbors by helping you adapt to new technologies, protect our environment, improve nutrition and food safety, and grow the next generation of leaders.
And my world. And my world.
We help farmers and ranchers adopt new tools that improve profitability in a rapidly changing marketplace.
That went into it, going to help some people.
We prepare and inspire leaders to take on challenges with confidence, be responsible, and give back.
Thank you very much. It will be a great help.
I think K-State Extension is a marvelous partner.
We bring people together to complement each other's unique strengths and make communities more vibrant and successful. We are Kansas State University, in every county, working shoulder to shoulder with organizations, local leaders, and you to help our state grow and thrive. We are K-State Research and Extension.
Foot rot issue or pink eye issue, you put some CTC in the feed for 5-7 days, take care of your issue. Now they kind of took that off the label and not really allowed anymore, so we have to kind of be careful about what we're using it for. But like I said, this kind of put a damper in our small ruminant area because they're considered minor species. And so we'll kind of go through that a little bit. So what exactly is the definition of a VFD? The VFD is a written statement issued by your licensed veterinarian that authorizes the use of a VFD drug or combination of that VFD drug in or on animal feed. It's a written statement that you as a producer has to obtain to use that feed in your ration and get it fed to your animals there. And that's just to feed in accordance with the FDA. You're going to feed this amount, and then you have to keep track of it. You have to keep track of how many pounds you put in and how much you're feeding and how many eggs you're giving it to. You have to use specific duration of use. Kind of gets pretty complicated there. You have to keep records and kind of sets us up to be investigated by the FDA. Surprisingly, they'll just drop in and expect you to produce your records on how you've kind of been feeding this. It's kind of nerve-wracking. So this VFD guidance or FDA guidance that kind of put this into effect in 2017 made in-feed antibiotics VFD regulated, and the in-water antibiotics made us use them in a prescription manner. So some of our in-feed antibiotics that were affected, some of you might know, like neomycin, streptomycin, some of our aminoglycosides, are tylosin. That's another one we use quite a bit in cattle, penicillins. We get down here to the sulfas. A lot of you guys have probably heard of our sulfadimethoxine. We use that quite a bit. More commonly, everybody's going to be familiar with CTC or oxytetracycline in that bottom row there. The drugs that were not affected by the VFD that I think a lot of people probably in here use is our Corid, our Bovatec, our Momensin, and our Dectox. The biggest thing that we have to kind of be cautious of is when we're feeding these, if we wanted to go and feed like a CTC, we have to make sure that they are approved in combination with that. Again, most of my examples are bovine related, but one thing would be like Lemenstin, we can't feed with CTC, but you can feed Bovatec with CTC. So if you were to feed CTC and you have Lemenstin in your diet, you have to discontinue the Lemenstin during that duration. Just little complicated things that make us kind of pull our hair out. One of the biggest things is that we cannot use it in an extra label drug use. So that's one of our biggest factors that's kind of affecting our small ruminant area is the extra label drug use. And
I can hear fine.
many of our products, like our injectables, we do use in extra label fashion. So what is extra label drug use? Seems pretty self-explanatory. That's any deviation from the label. Examples would be using in a species that's not listed on the label. Again, not very many products in our sheep and goats that we can use. Using for an indication or disease other than listed on the label. There are some bovine products that are used for just like bovine respiratory disease complex that we can only use for that. Some of our injectables we can't use the extra label list, short list. Or using at a different dosage level. A good example of this would be penicillin. We probably all bought penicillin from the farm store. If you actually read the label and read the dosage of the penicillin, we do no longer use it at that dosage level. Ineffective, probably limited effective at the higher dosage level. But using it at a higher dosage level is considered extra label use. Frequency or route other than labeled for sub-Q, we give it IM. And like I said before, and have reiterated several times, extra label use of drugs is very common in our small ruminants because there are such a limited amount. And so some of our current VFD drugs that are labeled for sheep is like CTC, as label reads, is for breeding sheep, reducing the incidences of embryonic abortion caused by Campylobacter fetus, infection susceptible to chlorotetracycline. Oxytetracycline is also labeled as a label for sheep, again for the treatment of bacterial enteritis caused by E. coli, or bacterial pneumonia caused by Klebsiella pneumoniae. Neomycin sulfate is one of the few ones that I found that was actually labeled for sheep and goats. I was kind of surprised. I didn't honestly know it had a label for goats. I don't use much neomycin, but it's for the treatment and control of bacterial enteritis caused by E. coli, and also can be used in combination with oxytetracycline for the same indications. So they have kind of opened it up slightly. It's kind of a really gray area. They state that it's not exactly legal to feed in our minor species, but they have kind of ignored it. If we meet these certain guidelines to feed these extra labeling and provide like written documentation or written recommendation to accompany our VFD. In order to do this, we have to meet a set of parameters, set of guidelines, and basically comply to this list of conditions in order to fill out that written recommendation to accompany the VFD. To feed these in your feed, some of those are we have to make sure that there are no approved animal drug label for that species with that same active ingredient for that dosage form or indication. We have to confirm diagnosis and evaluation conditions. So basically confirm that diagnosis with laboratory testing. Plus, we should do an antibiotic susceptibility to see which antibiotic would work best for that diagnosis and ensure that there are no other treatment options. If there are labeled medications for such conditions, we have to prove, or in our veterinary client-patient relationship, that that approved drug is clinically ineffective or its intended use, allowing us to use it in an extra label fashion. We have to assure the identity of the animals, which is pretty easy, just medical records. That's the easiest part. And then we have to establish a substantial extended withdrawal period, supporting, the appropriate scientific studies and everything to kind of put that withdrawal on our milk and our meat for sheep and goats. If you're dealing with eggs or any other products, you have to put in a withdrawal on that as well. So just kind of going through this, you can see that it's a pretty complicated process. And I can say since the VFDs have started in 2017, I have not wrote single VFDs for sheep or goats. It's pretty complicated, and we've kind of gotten into this level of, does the drug even actually work? You know, we've had a lot of resistance to these products. Other concern as a veterinarian is goats. I mean, as far as usually the animals that you are wanting to treat are not the ones that are eating and drinking the best. And so, as a veterinarian, if we have something that's going on to the point that we need to treat the whole herd, I'm probably just going to recommend, let's get them up, run them all through, give them an injectable. Let's know that we gave the correct dose to each one got it, and we're ahead of the game. With the feed, you know, if they're not eating, they're not getting it. You know, I mentioned in the beginning that we can use water in feeding antibiotics in the water, which we can do. Again, we can use those in extra fashion because those are still prescription items. But are they drinking enough? And in our small ruminants, they're kind of picky. So are they going to drink if that, you know, is tainted with the product? So I don't really use a lot of VFD drugs in my sheep and goats. Another problem I kind of have, most of these are full line products, so they're at consultations for much larger animals. So I question, just in my veterinary mind, common sense mind, is if, you know, we put one coffee cup for the whole, or coffee can for the whole buck and mix it in, how much is each bite? You know, are they going to even get enough whenever you kind of spread it out across there? So as for VFDs, we can now use them in next level fashion. Everything I kind of ran across says, you know, it's not exactly legal, but they're going to kind of just overlook it. The FDA is going to overlook it if you have all the proper documentation. So kind of the thing I want to reiterate over here today is, you know, in 2017 when they made these VFDs a deal, we knew there were going to be more things in the pipeline. We knew that was just the start of all of these regulations. And so in June of 2023, they are going to transition the rest of the over-the-counter medications to prescription. So, you know, a large part of these went off, you know, over-the-counter with the fee. The rest of these, there's about 4%, I guess, that's currently remaining over-the-counter. Those are going to move to prescription drugs. So at this point, this is my ploy to make a good relationship with your veterinarian. You're going to need them. There's not going to be anything you can really get over the counter anymore. Everything they require a prescription. So this would be a good time to get that relationship started. I think the biggest drug that's probably going to affect small ruminants is the LA 200 or 300. Penicillin's also on that list, but I know, one, I haven't been able to get penicillin in a while unless you buy it in large bulk. And I think I use it in horses. I don't use much penicillin at all in ruminant species. So this next slide kind of just goes into more about what antibiotics are going to be pulled from over the counter. So you won't be able to go into your farm store anymore and get it unless you have a prescription with them or, you know, a script. Some of you may have a lasting script with your veterinarian. But some of them, you know, intramammary tubes, which I don't think that should affect us at all as far as small ruminants, oxytetracycline, which talked about, like the biomycins, your LA 200, 300, penicillins, your sulfa, dimethioxines, the sulfa boluses again. I don't think that's used too much in our small ruminants. And then tylosin. So those are going to be the biggest things that kind of come down the line. In June of 23, that started. I just have one more slide. Some people question what constitutes this veterinary client relationship that I've mentioned a couple times already today. And there's 5 basic elements. If you look up kind of on the AVMA website, you know, the veterinarian assumes the responsibility for the animal's health. The client owner agrees to comply with that, and the veterinarian has sufficient knowledge of the animals or of your establishment to make a general diagnosis. And the veterinarian assumes responsibility and follow-up care, and then we maintain our patient records. So legally, we have to have a veterinary client-patient relationship to prescribe meds, to make a diagnosis, and kind of do that on a legal standpoint. And if we ever were looked into or investigated, we have to show proof of that in our system. You know, as much as we want to ride that gray line, that if when it comes down to it, if there's not proper documentation that we've been to your farm or we've been, you know, working with you and we have an established relationship, ultimately it's going to be my license on the line. And I kind of paid a lot for it, so I don't really want to lose it based on that. And so kind of like every state has their minimum requirements, and we must follow that, and it varies by state, which makes it kind of complicated. And then also, you know, we have this set of minimal standards that we have to follow that the state gives us. But then as veterinarians or as clinics, we can kind of hone that in a little tighter. You know, say the state says we only have to make a visit once a year, but me as a veterinarian finds it that once a year, a lot of things can change. You know, that's up to me, but I have to minimally follow that, you know, standard. Kansas kind of arbitrarily puts it out there, you know, we just have to have a good patient relationship. And that is not defined by a specific timeline. Some states say you have to have it within a year. Me, you know, I kind of set the standard as minimally a yearly visit. You know, if I, in general, am working with you guys throughout the year, we're dealing with several different things. You know, it's not necessarily that I'm coming to your farm once a year, but it's that, you know, I'm seeing you, I'm seeing something for you, we're working together, I'm talking on the phone with you, you know, I kind of know what you're doing and how things are working. You know, that's kind of how I set my guidelines. But every veterinarian, every clinic is a little different. But kind of something to think about if you guys aren't there yet. I know veterinarians are kind of few and far between, it seems like, in some of these rural areas, but they're going to make it where you have to have somebody. And so, you know, now is just the time to start thinking about it before June gets here, because June will be here and you'll need something, and then it's going to be a hassle. So that's kind of what's coming down the line. Is there any questions, concerns?
Will the drug manufacturers increase the product price?
I would have. I doubt they're going to increase the price as the manufacturer. There might be a price increase going to your veterinarian.
What about availability? See it changing?
I would like to think no, because they're probably going to be selling less product. And so I would like to think no, but in the last 2-3 years, anything's possible. I mean, I don't know from day to day what's available. I get on to order and Draxxin is, you know, not available, or not available for the next 2 weeks. I can't get this, or it seems like it's been a challenge to definitely work right now with some of our common drugs that we're comfortable with.
Might be a silly question, but are they kind of changing requirements for what you actually have to be present for with some of those antibiotics or injectables?
No, not so much presence. It's just as long as we have a working relationship kind of with you, you know, like as a veterinarian, we kind of give you some guidelines. Like if you're thinking about a highway, you know, I kind of like to think about it as we give you the 2 white lines and you can kind of bounce between them. And maybe it's just because I'm a veterinarian, I like to kind of pull that, you know, we want to work with you guys. We want the best for your establishment and everything. But no, as far as what you can inject on your own, no, I mean, but you will have to have a prescription for almost everything. And if you don't have that relationship, then yeah, they're going to require to see something. So, any other questions?
So if somebody came to inspect my medicine, do I have to have a prescription on file for everything at my house or your office?
It'll just have to be at my office. Like, so it's not really, when you think about prescribing drugs or writing prescriptions, like, I guess I don't know how to put it into words, but basically if you've gotten it from me, then that's the relation that's there. Now they're not going to necessarily come inspect you as far as like these over-the-counter products that are transitioning. If you have LA200 and you got it from somewhere else, but if you say go to slaughter and you have a residue in your animal, it's going to come to you, and then they're going to come to me, and then we're probably going to have a problem. But, you know, as long as we kind of work through those guidelines, we'll try to go the best. But now with the, like CTC, like the FDA is actually, we've had one inspection on a cattle client, and it was the smallest client we have. And they came in and asked, they showed up at their place first, and asked for their records, and thank God they kept them, and they did them appropriately. And then they came to the clinic and asked for us to pull all of our records and show that we had that relationship with them. And that we, you know, obviously wrote the VFD and that we've saved all of that. I mean, it was pretty easy because we had everything in line, but if you didn't have that in line, it probably would have been scrambling a bit. So.
There's a lot of drugs, but usually have, you know, a bottle with LA-200 or some other anti-inflammatory or something on it. So if we get that veterinary client relationship and we got a 100 ml bottle, it's not that we have to go to you every time we want to
No,
shot.
just to get the bottle.
No.
Yeah, just to get the bottle. And that relationship kind of goes back to, you know, we've talked, or I understand, you know, that if it has a respiratory fears or drooping or whatever, you can give this antibiotic for that. Like, that's kind of the relationship. I don't expect you to call every time you have something and get that okay. You know, it's more just like, here's the bottle, you know, go ahead. And there's some guys, you know, that I don't have that relationship with, and maybe they have a whole herd, but when they come in, I give them a, you know, for that. Not necessarily something to give to their whole herd. I mean, really, honestly, if you're just in contact with a veterinarian, you're probably not gonna have any issues, but if you only use that veterinarian for emergencies once every 5 years, you're gonna struggle.
A lot of discretion is given to you as a veterinarian on how that's.
Yeah, pretty much. Any other?
Give Dr. Becky a hand. Okay, we're gonna take about a 10-minute break. We'll try to start about 2:05. And Dr. Drew Ricketts will be here. He's gonna be talking about wildlife control.
You know what I just found out? We could. That's fine. Okay.